We have a local Guatemalan restaurant that serves these incredible looking sopes stuffed with refried beans and cheese. They have a lot of ingredients that I just don't feel great eating, so I came up with this recipe so I could satisfy my taste buds. This recipe is going to take some time to make, but it is going to be well worth it. Your taste buds will love you for it, and so will your body. To start with, I'm going to be making a kind of a pico de gallo sauce. I'm going to put some onion in my food processor. I'm going to add about 3 tomatoes. I'm going to add about a half of a cucumber and about 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to add a handful of cilantro and about a half of a pepper. I'm going to add about 3/4 of a teaspoon of my pink Himalayan salt and squeeze in some fresh lemon. Now time to give it a spin. So this came out more like a salsa than a pico de gallo, which is just fine for me. It's just right. Now I'm going to make my guacamole with 3 cloves of garlic and 2 avocados. Considered the mother of all fruit, healthy fats. I've got some beautiful cilantro here. I'm going to add that in, along with a little bit more of that pepper that we used earlier. I've got just under a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, and then we're going to squeeze in our lime juice. And I'm going to use the whole lime. Yummy. Time for another spin. Don't be afraid of these wonderful healthy fats. They are good for you. I love to cover it with a little bit of lime juice when I store it so that it doesn't brown. For my beans, I'm using organic black beans, which are highest in delphinidin and also highest in antioxidants. I'm going to toss in 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to take some of the seeds out. I don't want it too hot, but I'm adding the rest of my pepper. I've added a half a teaspoon of onion powder and a half a teaspoon of salt. And now I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm going to add a tablespoon of water. And then I'm ready to spin this one. Okay, it's all mixed. Beans can be hard for some people to digest, but if you take some Beano or digestive enzymes, that can help. Now I'm going to make my cheese out of potatoes. They've been cooked and cooled, and now I'm peeling them. So I've reheated them, and now I'm adding this to my container, along with 1/3 cup of water. Nutritional yeast, which is so rich in B vitamins, is going to give us that cheesy flavor, and I'm going to add 3 tablespoons. I'm also adding 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. So instead of cheese that has saturated fat, this has unsaturated. I'm going to add the juice of an entire lemon. I've added a teaspoon of salt, and now this is 1.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika. If you haven't guessed by now, this is not a low salt meal, but it's going to be so worth it. This is some really good cheesy goodness, and no cheese, no dairy in this at all. Gluten and corn in this country are contaminated with glyphosates, which is found in pesticides, so I'm going to use amaranth. Amaranth is rich in protein and also contains a peptide that helps healthy cells so they don't turn into cancer cells, and is anti-inflammatory. I'm going to use 2 cups of flour. I'm also adding a half a cup of potato starch so it'll hold together well. I'm adding a teaspoon of salt and mixing in my dry ingredients. And then I'm going to add a cup of water into the dry. You want to get it to a kneading consistency. If you have to add more wet or more dry, go for it. I would suggest kneading it for about a minute or 2. I'm making a ball, and then I'm gonna dust it with some more of the amaranth and then flatten it. I'm gonna flatten it out a little bit more, stretch it out. And I'm going to add my cheese on one side and my beans on the other. Okay, and then I'm gonna fold it together and kind of mush the endings. So I'm just gonna do another one here. Pretty straightforward. I got beans on the one side, my potato cheese on the other, folding it together. A lot of sopes are fried, but we've heated up our griddle to 350 and it's gonna be a healthier way to do this. And they'll need to sit on there for a while. These seem ready to flip over now. You could also make more of a traditional type of a sope where you cook it and then kind of clear the centers and then put your toppings on top. Okay, I'm gonna take one of these off the grill. I'm going to smear some of my guacamole on the top. Now I'm gonna add lettuce and my salsa. And here it is. This is a tasty treat. It does take a little bit of work, but it is well worth it. If you found this helpful, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe below. And until next time, love yourself, eat real food.